Hello everybody out there in Facebook land. If you don't have a life, you're watching us tonight on, what's today, Labor Day weekend, the end of our beautiful weekend. We have Ashley Pizzo, her wonderful husband, is going to be joining us. We have Canito, our Puerto Rican rescue dog we rescued from the mountains of Puerto Rico from a shelter. And the reason we bring him on during our 7-minute break, for those of you on Facebook, just watch him. We just do simple things. So our training philosophies and methodologies are simple, and we're going to demonstrate that by just using a little nylon leash. It's not complicated training. It's just simple principles that we apply. And that's going to be the topic of the show, kind of how humans complicate things for dogs. And I know I'm repetitive, so we're going to go live in a few minutes. I got to fit.
Like 20 seconds.
20? Yeah. So bear with us. We're going to give our normal shout outs to everybody. Welcome everybody, welcome to The Dish on Dogs. I'm your host Mike Gould. We're broadcasting live tonight. For those of you who have Facebook, watch us on Facebook. We're going to do some interesting demonstrations. For those of you, not demonstrations, but we have our rescue dog Canito here with us. He's from Puerto Rico. We rescued him a few years ago. Also joining me tonight is the very lovely Ashley Pizzo, her husband. He's going to be sitting in with us, chatting about life in general. I thought you were. He's looking at me like I'm crazy, but
no,
yeah.
It's not.
Oh, all right. He's not. The boss said no. So anyway, yeah, I'm Mike Gould, mayor of Hounds Town USA, home to the happiest dogs on earth. We do, for those of you who don't know what Hounds Town is a fully interactive dog environment where dogs come, and it's an outlet for them to run around and jump, hump, and dump, as I like to say. Some people think that's a little ridiculous. I think Mike, the engineer, he cringed when I said that. So kiddingly, or not kiddingly, dogs are like children. They need an outlet for their energy, and when they're home, they're getting yelled at, and they're, no, don't do this, don't do that, and they're constantly human toxic energy. We're going to talk about that tonight. So, and then we'll talk about our little friend Canito. I got to give a shout out to all my friends who are waiting for Doreen. What's the name of this hurricane coming? Doreen?
No.
What is it, Mike? Well, that was Dorian. All right, Doreen was my first wife. She was like a tornado. She was a polar vortex, Doreen. Anyway, so this hurricane is barreling down, supposedly. I hope all our friends, Tom and Joan Sullivan, my faithful listeners, are listening. But they're smart enough to live away from the beach. So humans, and again, I don't minimize what's happening here, but we live up here on Long Island, and West Hampton Beach gets wiped out every couple of years, and then we rebuild it. Then it gets wiped out, then we rebuild it, then it gets wiped out. Dogs are smart enough to go inland. Dogs go to the top of the mountains, they go inland. You know who's not going to be affected by this hurricane? Seagulls and alligators. Unless they're in an alligator farm, and then they are, because some dumbass human put them in an alligator farm, so they're contained. But most animals that are not domesticated and kept cooped up, so to speak, they're not going to be affected by any of these things. The seagulls fly away, they go around. So it's only humans. So Tom and Joan, now I want to talk about Joan a little bit because she's a senior like me. She's a little more senior than I am. But we're going to talk about, during this show today, how humans and nature conflict with one another, and on so many different levels. I have my friend Todd Mayer, Toad, and we're also going to distinguish the difference between reptiles and amphibious creatures. So amphibious creatures, Toad, and reptiles, they live near the water. But we don't swim. We're not amphibian, and we're not reptiles. So we need to go inland and den inland and high up. That's what we need to do. So we can't. It's wonderful living on the beach, but it's also very precarious when these polar vortexes come in. So here's the other thing about this storm, this hurricane. There is a cone of uncertainty. Did you hear this expression, Professor?
A cone of uncertainty?
Of uncertainty. That's how they describe the cone of uncertainty. So my life has been a cone of uncertainty. But yet, now this is new. There's new meteorologists. What's the word? These weather words. Polar vortexes. I don't know what that is. Cyclone bombs. There are all of these things. Anyway, so we're going to talk about that. So, but I hope everybody's safe down there. You should heed the warning of, I've been listening about this storm for 2 weeks now, and I know the Bahamas are being battered pretty badly, but hopefully it's turning north. Everybody will be just wasted their money on plywood and water, and I don't know. So anyway, I know Tom and Joan are going to be fine. My friend Scott Brasilier, our franchisees, Sean and Paige, they're in Orlando, inland. I don't think they're going to be affected by it.
And Joe's listening from Pittsburgh, too.
Joe, our good friend, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, for those of you who haven't been there. It's one of the nicest cities I've been to, and we're opening, actually, Joe's opening his franchise, Joe in Pittsburgh, and Cody are opening their franchise in the within the next couple of weeks. So if you're listening or you know people in Pittsburgh, we're going to be giving away free doggy daycare. Can you imagine free doggy daycare?
Pretty good.
Yeah, no nonsense, no small print, no contracts. You have to have a temperament evaluation, both the human and the dog, and we evaluate the dog to make sure he's just hasn't been screwed up, because dogs are dogs and they play well together generally if they're socialized right, just like children, right? So we talk about children. Anywhere in the world, you put a child by a ball, a soccer ball, or a puddle of water, and they have a blast, right? They don't have to speak the same language. They have fun. And dogs do the same thing, if you understand it. So that's good. I'm glad Joe's listening.
So is Corey. And Boomer.
Corey and Boomer, good. Sitting by the fireplace. All right, having a nice glass of wine. Obviously, they have zero life. It's 8:15 on Labor Day. Anybody who, seriously, I love you folks, Tom and Joan, but if you're watching this, you don't have a life. Seriously, you should you should at least be stuck in traffic coming home from the beach Labor Day weekend, right? So anyway, so we have like 24 locations now. And we're just developing this great system because we do have a system. We understand the dog brain. So what people say, well, what's doggy daycare? You put them in a room and let them play. Well, that's not true. So number one of the things that separate us from other doggy daycares is we don't discriminate against dogs. We take dogs of all sizes, ages, and breeds, and as long as they're happy and want to interact with other dogs, we understand how to establish a pack of dogs. Do you agree with that?
I do agree.
We have 3-legged dogs, 2-legged dogs, 1-eyed dogs. We've had blind dogs.
Yeah.
And the difference between us and our competitors, very frankly, is we focus in on the dog brain, not the human brain. So you're not going to see, we don't sell bottled water. We don't upcharge for belly rubs. We don't have story time. We don't put a guilt trip on a dog owner to pay $5 to have a story read to your dog. This is absurd, right? It actually makes me nauseous in a way because this dog business is a very emotional business. People love their dogs, probably more than their own family members, which that's a topic for another show, why that is. That's a psychological problem. But we don't exploit that, so we don't make you feel bad. If you come to a Hounds Town anywhere in the country, you're not going to be charged for an ice cream cone on a hot day. You're not going to be charged for biscuits. We're not going to be charged for bottled water. This is crazy stuff. So we design our facilities with the dog in mind. The dog comes first. So for those of you out there in Facebook land, if you stick with us, we have a 2-minute break. We're just going to hang out here in the studio. And then our second break is a 7-minute break. And we're going to take Canito, as I introduced earlier. Canito, he's just a dog. He's a dog from Puerto Rico. They have a very bad dog problem there because it's getting much better, but historically they haven't neutered or spayed their dogs, so they just had puppies and dogs wandering the streets. There's actually a place there called Dead Dog Beach, which is kind of horrendous, or was, where litters of puppies were just dropped off on the beach. Just obviously they can't survive because there's no food. I mean, it was a horrific thing. Things have gotten a lot better due to local charities, rescue groups down there. And we actually got Canito from a local rescue in the mountains of Puerto Rico. Jackie fell in love with him. And he's here now with us. And I think the point of having him, he's nothing special.
He hasn't done rigorous training.
He's right. He doesn't jump through hoops of fire. He doesn't go...
He probably would, though.
He probably would. But the point is, he's just a dog, whether he comes from Puerto Rico, Russia. This is why we don't discriminate against dogs, because they're just pure. They're just in the moment of time. He's happy to be alive. Jackie loves him. He loves her back. He doesn't love me. He growls at me. But that's okay. I respect that. And that's part of what our show is. When we get on the second half of the show, is we're going to talk about respecting nature and respecting it. And I want to talk when I get back. What's so funny?
Jackie said he's very special. He's a genius.
He's a genius. Yeah, he's a real genius. So people are going to maybe judge that during our second break, see what a genius he is. But the truth of the matter is, we also have a two-legged dog named Rosie. Yeah. These are amazing creatures because they don't get out of... Rosie don't get up. She don't complain. She runs around like a lunatic in her wheelchair. And without a wheelchair, she scoots around. We're going to bring her on next week. Because next week we're going to talk about franchising. We have our friends from Detroit.
Coming in, right? They're going to be on the show, right?
Yeah, Pete and Kristen are going to come on. We're going to talk about... That's another new franchise right outside of Detroit, Michigan. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, folks... you're listening to The Dish on Dogs, and what we try to do is, as I say, separate what humans think dogs need and what they really need. And most humans, now more than ever, are screwed up. And the old saying is, the more people we meet,
the more we love our dogs.
The more we love our dogs. And, it's really a thing because we're toxic to our own children, myself included, We're going to talk about that after the break, but Joan is going to know what I'm talking about. Joan Sullivan down in Beverly Hills. And I don't mean California. Right outside of Ocala. But she's going to understand this stuff. So stay with us, 2-minute break, then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the population explosion and how humans are destroying our world. It's nice and bright.
Come on back.
Come on back, folks. Cheer you right up.
Genius almost took the camera down.
Yeah, the genius here, Canito. So who's looking? Anybody watching on Facebook?
Cody, Joe, Corey, Jackie, right now.
I don't appreciate you just coming from the show. That's just not right.
What do you have to say?
A lot.
Now, what do I want to talk about? Is Jackie ending? Who's anybody watching on Facebook? And not really, very limited. People are.
I don't get a lot of comments.
Get comments here and there. Yeah, we're tired. We need to do an earlier time slot, right?
Yeah, like 12 o'clock in the afternoon.
4 or 5. I usually come alive in the third segment, the fourth
Once
segment.
the coffee kicks in.
All right. You got your little thing or little routine planned for us. When folks out there in Facebook land, in about what 5 minutes or so, we take another break, and then Ashley, the professor here, is going to just show you very simple things that dog behavior is simple, and how our human brains complicate it so bad that it becomes toxic. And it's one of the things in our Hounds Town business model. We want to create a dog management system that we can teach other people, but it's hard because most humans are very, very, they think too much. And you know what I tell people? It's so easy what we do. Our turbo training is so easy that most human beings can't do it because they want to complicate it. So we're going to get back on the air here. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but
Steve just jumped in too.
Mm-hmm. Who?
Steve?
Hey, Steve. Anthony, my protege.
I don't think he has. He's not on there.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Dish on Dogs. I'm your host, Mike Gould, mayor of Hounds Town USA, home to the happiest dogs on earth. Since our inception, we've taken care of 1.2 million dogs. During that time, we've had some scrape up, some dog little, but statistically, we're safer than your local kindergarten class. Statistically, that's a fact, a statistical fact. Hounds Town USA, home to the happiest dogs on earth, is an environment, a fully interactive environment for dogs. And we do a great job. I have people like Ashley, who's sitting here with me. Ashley Pizzo, welcome to the show. I don't know if did you speak yet about anything?
Not yet.
Why do we do such a great? Why are you so great? Why are you so
great?
Why are you so wonderful? You're the professor.
I don't know why I'm so great.
Oh, don't be shy. Come on. Go ahead.
No, but it really has a lot to do with the staff. I feel like our staff, you guys go above and beyond, even with the new franchisees, with training everyone to understand the dog brain. And, they're not dog trainers, but they know how to manage dog. Everyone has dogs at home. We have staff that have multiple dogs at home some might not be good with other dogs, and they're able to manage their homes and still come to doggy daycare and manage all the dogs here. But of course the dogs in doggy daycare need to be good with other dogs, but they have a good sense of grouping the dogs by size and temperament and managing the owners too, which is huge.
Right. So most of the time it's a two-pronged thing, like you said. The owners project a lot. Listen, our customers are wonderful, and they're great pet owners because they actually spend money on the best dog food, the best veterinary care, the best, obviously, Hounds Down, the best daycare. But they don't ever, very few people take the time, it's really phenomenal to me, they take the time to understand the difference between a dog and a human. Mm-hmm. And they raise their dogs with the skills they raise their children with. Now more than ever, parents, 20s and 30-something, these kids today are growing up. You're an exception. I was thinking about this on the way here because it's not a broad statement because you don't have that, like, kind of neediness, spoiledness, you trip, you get up, you scrape your knee, you put a Band-Aid on it, you move along. But nowadays, our parents are that way with their children. They're so protective, and there's so much weirdness going on in the world.
They're handicapping them.
They're making them so they can't deal with adversity in life. So if they get, God forbid, they get fired from a job or they get a flat tire, a lot of people have literally mental breakdowns that they don't know how to deal with it. And that's, they're victims of our society. Mm-hmm. So, that's why I talk about Joan Sullivan. Older people, they've lived in a world that is so completely different now. Now in the summertime, they have cooling centers. Did you hear this stuff where it's like 95 degrees? So the news tells you to go to cool. We had a cooling center in my house. It was called a bathtub. That was our cooling center. But if my grandmother was in the cooling center, I had to go outside. But we also had an outdoor cooling center. You know what that was? A fire hydrant.
Oh, right.
Right, so they turned on the fire hydrant. Then, when we really moved up the social class, this was in the Queens, when we moved up to the middle class, we moved to Long Island, and I had a really special cooling center, or it was a tool, it was a garden hose, and that's where we drank our water from the garden hose. Maybe it did have an effect on me. You're looking at me as though it did, but that was our cooling center. Who ever heard of this? I don't get it. We didn't have air conditioning. This is all a relatively new phenomenon. So when Joan Sullivan was born, the human population in the United States was 120 million people. When Joan Sullivan was born, 120. You know what it is now?
It's like 300
Exactly,
million.
320 million. So the population of the United States tripled. Now you can listen to me and say, what's the big deal? It's a big deal. Just think about these numbers. In 1918, you know what the world population was, Professor?
What was it?
2.5 billion people, in the world.
Are we up to 6?
We're up to 7.5.
Ah, nice.
7.5 billion. Does anybody understand that? So when you're talking about the environment, carbon monoxide, ozone levels.
Right. Well, the funny thing is nobody's moving out to Wyoming, so they're all still moving into the cities and these high traffic, areas.
Right, but the funny thing is, everybody, it's Long Island used to be a farmland. It used to be all trees, and obviously trees and stuff produce carbon monoxide, oxygen.
Right.
So they don't. Now in Florida, it used to be the Everglades, right? So and I'm not a big environmentalist. Trust me when I tell you, if there's a tree blocking my swimming pool, the sun, that's the baby's coming down. So I'm not an environmentalist. You know, the damn deer running around. No, deer is a good example, right? We're encroaching. That's what I'm trying to talk about. We're encroaching on the environment. We cut out the Everglades. So yeah, Florida is these houses along the beach. There's a good possibility there's going to be millions and billions of dollars worth of property damage. As I said earlier, the palm trees aren't going to come down because they're built by nature to withstand tropical winds.
That's why they bend.
That's why they bend. Thank you, Professor. Yeah, and the alligators, there's no flying alligators. You won't get any reports of alligators being sucked out of the Everglades. All right, so anyway, the population exploded, so that affects everything, and it's on a trajectory. God forbid you ever talk about, that's the real problem. We want to talk about the car, my Escalade, my motorcycle is destroying everything, even my flatulence. There's somebody saying human flatulence, I don't know, I heard somebody said flatulence, or maybe it was cow flatulence. I'm just saying, our society, cow farts are destroying the country, the world. But anyway.
Yeah, I'll look that up.
All right, but just think of the magnitude. In Joan Sullivan's time, the world population has tripled. So obviously it's sucking resources out of the Brazilian rainforest is burning. No big deal. That regenerates itself. When we all die off, when we kill it, the
rainforest will still be there.
The rainforest will come back. I laughed out on Long Island years ago, before you were even born, probably. But they had the Pine Barrens.
Pine Barrens, yeah.
Right. The Pine Barrens was probably it was this huge, thousands and thousands of acres on eastern Long Island that burnt down probably 20 years ago, and it was touted.
When I was a kid, it was still trying to grow back.
Right, exactly. So 20 years later, though, and this is my point, you could go out there, you wouldn't even find out where the Pine Barrens are.
No, you wouldn't. I remember driving as a kid, though, and there was literally nothing.
But you're a kid. That was
25 years ago.
Right. So the point is, the Pine Barrens regenerated. Once we kill ourselves off as humans, when we overpopulate the world, I told you this is going to be a fun show to listen to.
Armageddon,
right. But it's not going to be because of some weird thing, shifting. Earth changes. There's been glaciers. There's been droughts. People just get caught up on this craziness, and I don't know. I get frustrated by it. This is why I love dogs. So anyway, let's get back to Canito. And we're going to, during our 7-minute break, which is coming up, I know I went a little off, but the reason we're talking is how humans and animals, or I should say nature and animals, come together. There's no more shark attacks, there's just more people in the water. Sharks aren't becoming more aggressive, there's just more bratty kids running around and floating around swimming, right? Maybe not bratty kids. But my point is, people are being attacked by bears. The bears aren't coming out to Stony Brook, right? They're not coming down to Miami Beach to eat people. But we've encroached on them, and then when they lash out, and again, the population, we just can't support ourselves.
Right. So John's afraid to take a canoe with me, a kayak, into Forges River with me because he's afraid of the sharks.
Because I don't want to be one of those bratty kids.
Well, he is a bratty kid. Well, I don't know about the sharks out there. No, but sharks attacks, they literally don't happen. I mean, it's all, I don't want to say.
It's a Shark Week.
Shark Week is a good show. I do like Shark Week, but my point is, whatever. Just then stay home, watch TV, watch Shark Week. If you want to see sharks, watch Shark Week. Don't go into a shark. Don't go swimming with the chum in Shark. And these people that want to pet the dolphins, leave the goddamn dolphins alone. Don't pet the dolphins. Your kid don't need to pet a dolphin. It doesn't have to swim with sea rays. Just watch National Geographics. All right.
You got Mush tuning in now.
Hey, Mush. He's my protege, my new protege, Mush.
New face of Hounds Town.
The new face of Hounds Town training director, right? On listening in. Well, pay attention, Mush, because in 20 seconds, Ashley Pizzo, the professor, is taking Canito out, and we're going to do some low-level things that are so simple, it's like riding a bicycle. So stick with us on Facebook. For those nerds out there that aren't on Facebook, we'll be back in 7 minutes. All right, get to work. Work, kids. We're going to go outside with Canito. I got all kinds of distractions, life distractions, food, squeaky toy. And I gotta, come on out here. And then you get the car running.
I'll give you guys a heads up in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, give me a drink of the water. So, folks, the professor's gonna take over, but what I want you to see, particularly Mush, I want you to see that this is low key. This is a piece of rope. I love good behavior. We're relaxed. We're in an airport, there's shadows, there's odors. I'm gonna walk with my left foot. The dog is gonna come with me. This is not a lot of training. Watch. Do you see the simplicity of this? Actually, Professor, you do this and I'll work my, watch, okay, sure. How do I do that? Okay, perfect. You take him. So watch how she's relaxed. There's no tension here. We don't use pinch collars. We don't use prong collars. Whoa, I have my little thing here. Come by the toy. I invented this as a Hounds Town invention. Go that way.
Do you want me to operate it?
No, go that way. Don't get smart. Stay the way you are. So my point is, whoa. Did you see that?
It's your invention?
That's fine. Well, it's a raccoon on a, come on, this is creative. What am I going to do? Have cats drop out of
Well,
the sky?
I mean, you just don't know how to use it.
I don't know how to use it, no. All right, put him up on the thing. Watch how we do this. What I want people to see on Facebook, that Ashley Pizzo is as relaxed as can be. And the dog is going to stay there. She's going to walk away from him. She's going to pick up your little toy. And understand something. There's nothing here. We're not using food. He just knows because we're consistent. He's a little nervous because we're in an airport. I'm nervous being in an airport. I'm gonna walk with this little rascal. So this is the trick for today. We can go fast. It doesn't matter about the distraction. One finger driving. This is what I want people to see out there. This is a piece of rope. There's not been, I know people think we spend a lot of time doing this. We don't. This is simple. Is he a little nervous? Of course he is. We're at an airport. So Ashley Pizzo, come on over. And then you don't have to go anywhere. We have an agility course right here given to us by the MacArthur Airport. Go ahead, do some stuff. They'll do some TSA training. See if you can put him on that film. Oh, okay, you're going that way. Good. Whatever you want to do. Up he goes. See, agility. Agility. Go right over the top of both of them. Watch this. Amazing. Amazing. We don't have to pay money for this. Look at how relaxed she is. There's no tension. Please, people, understand. There's no, what I'd like to say, this is so easy, you can't do it. It's like riding a bicycle. Most 5-year-olds in this world can ride a bicycle. Most adults that haven't ridden a bicycle can't. He goes to his place. Do you see her yelling, screaming, pointing, talking? No. We don't look, talk, and touch. He's good with that. She's going to go over there one more time, put him up on the top. I'm going to distract him. And by the way, that's shaky, that little table. He just jumped up here. This isn't something we do a lot. What is this? This is the sound of a dying animal. It's not a penguin. Is he concerned about it? Of course, he loves squeaky toys. Of course, he likes to eviscerate them. A squeaky toy is a dying animal, and he'd love to take the guts out of it. But he's not. So everything is, you don't have to go spend thousands of dollars for emotional support dogs. As a matter of fact, I want a t-shirt that says, your emotional support dog is giving me anxiety. I want to make t-shirts like that. You like that concept? You'd wear that, right? Because when you, yeah, just take them on the leash. We're going to go back inside. What else can we do? I mean, there's nothing else. You can go up and down, fast and slow. I can do distractions. I don't know. It gets me kind of crazy because this is not a special dog. He hasn't done hours of obedience. In fact, we do a few seconds. Watch when she steps out. It's relaxed. There's no, this is a piece of rope. Come on, all right, Mush, you're with me, Mush? This is what we got to do, not with just Canito, with every dog. Every dog is capable of it. Yes, it is. If you drop the piece of rope, we move this forward. If we wanted to be more advanced, we would. You have to understand, we're at an airport. Think of your dog at home doing this.
2 minutes.
Okay, we got 2 minutes. We're going to go back. But think of your dog at home. Dogs don't understand. They live 18 inches off the ground. They don't have thumbs. They don't have a human brain. This is amazing. What else? What else don't they have? And they can't stand erect. So they're living 18 inches off the ground for eternity. The only way they can get up here is by jumping, which creates a behavioral problem. All right, go ahead, Professor. We got 2 minutes to get back in. Look, no lead. Look, Mom, no hands. Showing off. That was great. All right, we're still on Facebook? Good. So that was a great demonstration. The simplicity of it. And this is what I have to teach people, that their human brain interferes with this. And when they can get this, it's going to be an amazing transition. Let's see. I'm a little out of breath. I
You didn't
walked
do
15
anything.
feet.
30 seconds.
30 seconds. All right, and we're going to get back. Stay on topic. Up. Spend the second half. All right.
He's getting yelled at.
Talk to people during these breaks. I'm getting a lot of direction here. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Dish on Dogs. I'm your host, Mike Gould, mayor of Hounds Town USA. I'm here with the lovely Ashley Pizzo and Canito. For those of you who stayed on Facebook and watched, it was a simple demonstration, and Jackie, of course, is directing the show from the couch back at home. But the reason I use this kennel lead, show people what that kennel lead is. It's a piece of rope. And it's so simple. So that cost $1.50, and we do most of our management. Obviously, it's not permanent, and he does have a permanent collar on, but the concept is the same. And when we talk about shaping behavior and rehabilitating behavior. So obviously, if you have a form, talk about that for a few minutes. The difference between shaping behavior and rehabilitating dogs.
So, I mean, I look at it as, I have 2 dogs at home. The first dog I got was before I started working for Hounds Town. So I didn't really know how basic boundaries and everything to set. I've had dogs before, we've always done basic stuff, but my one dog in particular that I've had forever, he always used to go in the bathroom. He'd try to go in the garbage, try to run down the toilet, and that's a harder behavior, especially if you're not supervising the dog all the time to manage. My other dog, we just never let him in the bathroom, and we just set that off as a boundary, the newer dog I got. You know, and he won't go in the bathroom. He's actually slightly just doesn't understand, so he won't even step foot into that tile bathroom. So if you can set a behavior with especially a young dog, it definitely sticks better with them because it's never something they've done before. Whereas if you have a dog, they pick up these bad habits now, like you were saying, you have to rehabilitate that behavior. And you can't 100% say he's never going to do it again.
Right. So I think I agree with almost everything you said. But so shaping behavior is exactly what you said. If you have a 4-month-old dog that has never jumped on the couch, it's never going to jump on the couch when it's 3 years old. And I'm not saying that. Canito jumps on beds and couches and whatever. So one thing to remember is your dog is not a possession. It's not like your car or your vacuum cleaner. It's a living creature that you have to understand its brain and what what motivates them, what they get frustrated at, what they get afraid of. So most bad dog behavior is, when you think of it in this way, we've removed dogs. They're pack animals. animals, and we've removed them from their natural pack, right? Their litter. So in a way, we're kind of sickos just for that reason, right? We've taken dogs that learn their lessons from their mother.
Right, too early we've taken them away.
Well, not even too early. We're not leaders of them. Then they don't, all of their natural skills. So dogs have canine teeth, right? We know that, correct? They have 4 of them. That's their only mechanism to communicate with the world. They eat with their canine teeth, they hunt with their canine teeth, they do everything with their canine teeth. And their canine teeth are designed to crush and tear things. Meat, rabbits, little things. What's those little things? Vowels? I never remember. Moles, vowels. There's something called
It's a mole.
There's a vowel too. Ask Jackie.
Vowel?
Vowel,
like
a vole maybe. Vole. Mike's telling me it's a vole. So that's what they eat. They kill it. That's why they like these squeaky toys. Because the squeaky toy, if you see Canito here, his ears light up. Because he'd like nothing more tend to eviscerate this little toy. And that's why it squeaks. And what do dogs do? They eat them, take the squeaker out, and they don't want them. So the point of the matter is, dogs do things that are simple. They don't have they have memory. Of course, they have memory, but they don't understand future events. They don't understand. They don't have any concept of who's going to mow the lawn. They don't understand the fall is coming, changes of season, but they adapt quite nicely. It's the humans that are the toxic ones that don't take the time to understand the human brain. So shaping behavior, so as Jackie wanted me to explain, why do we use this piece of rope, this kennel lead? All these other devices are created, invented by humans that don't even understand dogs. So if you're walking around, frankly, with a harness on your dog, a harness is designed to pull something. It's designed by a human, 100 so years ago, a couple hundred years ago, to pull wagons, right? Or pull something, sleds, wagons, the Iditarod. So now we take the harness and put them on the dog, and you become the wagon. And the dog is dragging your ass all over the neighborhood. And when it sees another dog, and it's all this leash aggression, and then we're putting dogs on Prozac now, just like we're doing this to kids. They got this and that and all this medication. And you know as well as I do, have you ever seen, you've seen dogs come into our training programs. Have you, what's the first thing we do when they come in to our training programs? With
We put a kennel lead on.
Right. But we also take them off their medications.
Oh, like a boot camp, yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So
we
I
manage
should have.
their food, we don't just give it out to you.
Right. So the point is we shift and make things more natural for them. But my point was I've never seen a dog on Prozac that maybe it sedates them, I don't know what the hell it does, but it never stopped them from going ballistic when the doorbell rings. It never stops them from going ballistic when the vacuum cleaner comes out. Never stops them go ballistic when the landscaper is outside and they're barking and chewing at them, going crazy. Don't work. So you have to teach the dog that the vacuum cleaner is not a terrorist in the closet. The doorbell ringing is not something to go crazy. And we just allow this to go on and go on. And if you can pan over right now to Canito, you'll see, for those of you on Facebook, he's asleep. And his head comes up when I squeak the toy. But let's say this, if I squeak this for an hour, guess what's gonna happen? He's gonna go to sleep. If I ring the doorbell, if a dog grows up in a doorbell factory, he's not gonna go nuts when they hear a doorbell. So dogs react to changes in their environment. They use their nose, they have a whole different set of skills. They primarily use their nose and their hearing, and they hear things that you don't hear. So they're kind of like, what's that ESP, extrasensory perception.
Right.
Because they do have extrasensory perception, because they're hearing things that you're oblivious to. They're smelling things, and they understand environments.
Right.
You know, people say, oh, my dog gets so excited when he gets near doggy daycare. Of course, there's an environmental odor near dog. The dog don't know directions. He's laying in the back of your car. He doesn't know whether you're turning left, right, this or that. But so these are the amazing things they do. They catalog information in their brain, odors, and then they remember. They make quick associations. So like you said, you teach your dog's never going to go into the bathroom because he was never allowed to go in the bathroom.
Right.
And sometimes just the change of surface from tile to wood will teach a dog not to. Then they'll just notice tile or wood and they won't touch it, you know? So it's kind of an interesting concept. All right, what else should we be talking about?
Well, like I just moved
just
into the new house.
Congratulations,
Thank
by the
you.
way. Beautiful
And
house.
it's just funny to see the different reactions with the different animals we have. So we walked into the new house and we had the boxes and bags and everything out, and my older dog like touched the carpet in the living room and shut down, and he laid down and he was freaking out.
Right.
You know, and all the people were helping us move. It's not like they were new people, it was all friends they've met before, but just the fact that it changed the environment, he couldn't handle it. You know, for the first probably I'd say 15 minutes. After that, he was fine running around, but that initial walking in, stepping foot on the carpet, right in the living room, he literally laid down flat and was looking at which way he could run to get out of the house. Meanwhile, my other dog walked in, had no problem, started sniffing around the house and was completely fine. But it's just the different types of reactions we have,
Right.
you know, depending on the dog.
But you bring up a good point, because a lot of times people will call me with behavioral problems and they're moving to a new place, whether
Yeah.
it's a
We couldn't
house or
find our
condo.
cat for about 2 days. He was
Right,
missing in the house.
Right, but think of it this way, then that's a good point. So moving can be almost your biggest friend because you're starting neutral with your dog. Your dog nor you have created new, you have to figure out when you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning where the bathroom is. You just moved in 2 days ago. You have to find, you don't know where you are, you're disoriented. You know, a month from now, you won't. You're gonna identify where everything is, the sink, the this and that. So think of a dog 18 inches off the ground. He has to, as you quite correctly said, he's gonna figure out when the mailman comes by. He's gonna figure out when the garbage man comes by. He's gotta figure this out on his own. So actually, when I hear people moving to a different state and they're freaking out and they want to know what they should be doing, I say this is a great opportunity for both you, the humans, and the dogs to start fresh. Because
Yeah.
it'll be a different dog. The dogs are going to do exactly
Yeah,
what
our
you
dogs
said.
have been in better behavior, I think, at this new house than they have.
Right, for the moment, but then
Right,
again,
until they settle in.
right, we talk about this all the time. It's a honeymoon phase. So even when we adopt dogs from shelters or rescue, whatever we do, there's a honeymoon phase. The dog comes to your house, he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know where the front door is. What is a door? It's just a breach in a wall that opens up, and crazy people come in and out. And a doorbell is just an alarm system that goes off and it gets the dogs crazy. So when you start off neutral, then you can reshape. If you want to, and you don't want to allow dogs on the couch or whatever, this is a great time to
Yeah,
do
our
it.
dogs were afraid to jump on the couch when we first got it in.
Right.
Meanwhile, the old house, they were all.
Right, exactly. So it's an environmental change. So, so a lot of times these things are great. Environmental changes are a great time to reintroduce leadership, because that's what we're lacking, is leadership and structure. We're allowing dogs that don't have natural pack members to go just act on their own. It's kind of sad in a way, because it's like a little 2 or 3 year old child without leadership. So yeah, you wouldn't let a 2-year-old, 3-year-old child play in the backyard by itself. You wouldn't send them to
Right.
7-Eleven for coffee. They're incapable of doing these things. So we're going to take another break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk and talk and talk, and I'm going to bore people to death. Come back in 2 minutes, then we'll talk. Talk about what is that? ESA dogs, emotional support dogs, and all right, we'll be back.
Upset already.
Anything? Hi, Anthony. Anthony. Mush. No more trips. When's our next trip? We got to do a trip to Foxwoods to do some training. Interesting point. Right.
Who's
Okay.
giving you reviews?
No, nobody. Some crazy friends of mine. Friends of mine down in Florida. All right, what else? We're almost done with this. We talked about the world population. We talked about how humans are toxic. My own family, by the way. I'm not talking about our customers. My family is toxic. My daughter, my granddaughter. Oh my God. Kooks. Kooks. Let's talk about that. The children, how much more far advanced a 1-year-old child is than a fully mature dog? They are.
A 1-year-old child?
Yeah, of course. She can stand, she's starting to stand erect. She uses her thumbs to pick things up. She can follow your direction. It comes when you, She's more for advanced now than this dog will ever be.
Canito disagrees.
I'm tired. It's almost cigar times.
Lucky
Jackie
us.
must fell asleep. Oh, I told everyone, you told me to kiss it. Yeah, I told Jackie. Jackie is directing me here. Talk people during
30
these
seconds.
breaks. We can just hear your breathing into the mic. I'm sorry, I'm out of breath. I got COPD. This is nice, Jackie.
Got about 15 seconds, Mike.
15 seconds. I'll try not to breathe into the mic. What else?
She's watching us on Facebook, by the way.
Stay on topic. How is Canito acts like an asshole? Hey, Jackie, I'm not supposed to say that. Oh, we're not on the radio yet.
Yeah, you
Say
already
it on
said one
Facebook.
earlier, so it's fine.
Act like an
Me too.
asshole. But the second you put the cleat on. All right, here we go, folks.
Jackie's very critical this week.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Dish on Dogs. I'm your host, Mike Gould, mayor of Hounds Town USA, home to the happiest dogs on earth with 24 locations. We're popping up all over the place. If you're interested in franchising, by the way, if you think the pet care business is for you, which it's certainly not for everybody, listen next week. Next Monday, we're going to be live again, and we're going to be talking to our new franchisees from Detroit. They're coming here for some training into New York.
Yeah, Pete and Kristen.
Pete and Kristen, and we're going to ask them, what were they thinking? What were they thinking when they decided to own a pet franchise? You know, it's funny because when people do this, they don't really understand dogs, right? They
Right.
just
Well, I
understand.
think people have a certain conception of what this is.
Right, they're
So
right.
they go through our training program too.
Right. Well, but, you know, doggy daycare, it sounds like a lot of people always wanted to do this their whole life, but they don't, they don't see, we on any given day have 100 dogs in our Ronkonkoma facility. So
Yeah.
guess what? If you have 100 dogs, let's do some math, and each one of them poop once a day. That's 100 loads of poop.
They don't only poop once a day.
They don't. That's not a good
At least
day.
3 days.
And throw some diarrhea in there. I don't want to be disgusting, but before you buy a Hounds Town franchise or any pet care business that you think that you're going to be reading lullabies to dogs,
It's
you're
not the
not.
case.
Right. So when new employees come and they say they love dogs, I'm like, that's great. You'll love to pick up dog poop because that's basically the job,
your job.
for everybody, everyone. So if you're interested or want to know a little bit more about the franchising business or the pet care business more specifically, listen next Monday night. I think we'll bring Rosie in, our disabled two-legged Zooming Rosie. She's a star. She'll be here. Let's see. Jackie has been directing me to talk about how people can help their dogs live in more natural world. So you can try to bring this. Oh, okay. So we don't live in an artificial world. So if you look at Canito, I was just trying to think during the break. I look at Canito. He doesn't have opposing thumbs. The only way they communicate and interact is with their mouth and dig holes, obviously, with their paws. But they don't have opposing thumbs. And John just leaving. What was I? Oh, so we removed thumbs. Thanks, Mike. So they don't have opposing thumbs, and they only have teeth, and they can't stand erect. So I'm talking about my 1-year-old granddaughter during the break. At 1 year old, she's beginning to stand erect. She uses her opposing thumbs, and she can use her intelligence, her neocortex, her human intelligence, to do things that a dog at 1 year old, a human child, is more advanced than a dog.
Yeah.
The dog they haven't evolved.
And they'll never get smart.
They're never getting, well, they're not evolving. They're close to a wolf as anything. So they're not happening, not in the next couple of million years. So like Jackie was describing, get out into nature. You can, especially now that all the lunatics are back at work now, it's Labor Day.
Yeah.
You can go out to these beautiful parts of Long Island that you don't even know that there's beaches, and if you're lucky enough that you can get off on like a day during the week and go out to, there's these great, beautiful beaches, there's seals, there's animals out on Long Island most people don't even know. You don't have to go to the aquarium to look at wildlife. We
Right.
have it on Long Island. It's just few and far between. In the winter, you go watch seagulls, and you watch. What's smarter than a bird, right? They fly over us. They must think we're idiots, right?
Yeah.
When we're boarding up our houses and we rebuild houses on the beach, and they're just flying around looking at us like we're crazy. All right, what else do you want to talk about?
Well, I think you were supposed to bring back how can we make it more natural for the dogs.
Yeah. Well, how do you make it more natural? Think of it like you feed your dogs. Think of what dogs do in the wild. They dig holes. They don't eat 3 meals a day. Sometimes they eat once a week. So we have this tendency of treating dogs as though they're human, and they're not. So when you control when I say control their food, just make it natural for them. You don't have to be shoving food. They shouldn't be eating 3 meals a day. They shouldn't be grazing on food. This is unnatural. And they need water for sure. So dogs, obviously, domestic dogs, wild dogs, humans, we need access to water all the time. But food is not a big component of obviously, we all need food to survive. Right. But humans, right, we go to buffets and we eat like pigs, myself included. We go on cruises and we just gorge ourselves. So we now say, and again, my very caring customers, they come in with like bags of food. It looks like they're gonna move in for a week or a month, and the dog's staying for 2 nights, and they want breakfast, they want lunch, they want me to, make shrimp scampi for them at night, and it's crazy.
Right. Well, I think a lot of our customers now, especially, the longer they come, the almost better of a pet owner they are, because they're getting a little more detached from their dog. So, we have customers that started coming in like that, and then, a couple months down the road, they're dropping the dog off, all right, see you later, and they're going on a trip for a week, and you don't hear from them. Right. Which is fine, because they trust us.
Right, exactly. So that's it. They trust us, and they should trust us. And we understand that by the time the dogs they can do things at doggy daycare that they can't do at home. That is inappropriate. Right. So as I said, they come in, they really just want to sniff each other's butts, most of them. That's all they want to do. They want to run around, chase each other, play, and then within a half hour they're sleeping. So we don't put dogs in timeouts. We don't have to regulate dogs' rest. That's ludicrous. Obviously, we pack certain energy levels together. Obviously, we're not going to put a senior citizen dog in with a 1-year-old dog. Right, it would be a bad fit. But this, to me, is just common sense. But we put dogs mutually sized. And as you said, you don't know who Cy Sims is, but he was a great retailer. And he said, an educated consumer is our best customer. That was his saying. So, just what you said.
Same thing for us.
Exactly.
We try to do our best.
We do our best. Some people don't listen, and we get it. I'm not, I know people see me and they run the other way because they think I'm.
Some run towards you.
Some do. When they run towards me when there's a problem, when their dog bit the neighbor's kid, or whatever the problem is, they can't. Right. Then they call me, and I do. And again, I love our clients. They're fantastic. But yeah, it's a funny phenomenon. Dog ownership is the craziest thing I think that's happened to our society in the last 100 years. Yeah. If you think about it, dogs have worked their way. Obviously, we've domesticated them about, I think, 500,000 years ago, whatever, 30,000, I don't know, a hell of a time ago. Because they helped us. They alerted us to strangers, so they'd sit around the campfire, we'd give them a couple of bones, etc. But now they've worked their way not only into our house, but into our bedroom, onto our couches. Excuse me. So in the last 50 years, just like Joan will attest to, Joan knows that dogs back 70 years ago were in the backyard in a doghouse. In a doghouse, and they lived great. They didn't have air conditioning. They lived in the backyard. They dug holes. They buried their bones in the backyard. And that was the end of it. Now they worked their way onto the porch. That was their next big move.
That was where my grandfather's dog was.
Right, your grandfather's dog was on the porch. Yeah. And then they moved into the kitchen, then to the living room. Now they're in their own, and not only are they in our bedrooms, they're in their own bedrooms. I have clients that build rooms in their house for the dog. Look, I'm a beneficiary of this, right? We make our career on taking care of people's dogs, so I shouldn't complain so much. But most people could do a much better job in understanding the real needs of a dog. Just if you understand the real needs of a child, it's really simple. They don't need as much as people giving them. Right. They need a puddle of water and a soccer ball. You go bring kids to a beach and they'll play with one another. It's simple. They don't need the toys you bought them last Christmas are in the garbage or in the closet or the attic right now.
And that's the funny thing is people look for the no BS mechanic. They want to go to a mechanic that's just going to tell them exactly what the problem is, and not nickel and dime them, say, oh, you should get new this, new that. But some people come into doggy daycare and want that. They're looking for the extra, well, what about this, what about that? We're like...
Right. And we do have competitors that will take your money. They will give you bottled water. They'll charge you whatever the markup is, mark it up. They'll give you Kongs with treats. They'll charge you for that. TV. Do you really think the dogs are watching TV?
After our dogs play in the playroom, they're out.
Right.
When they go into their kennel at night. They don't want to watch TV.
Right. And they may see movement, whatever. The whole point is it's ridiculous. Music, you think they're listening to Mozart? This is just an insanity that I see, and it's not necessary. So Hounds Town USA is home to the happiest dogs. Maybe not the happiest customers, but certainly the happiest dogs on earth, because we treat dogs, we understand the dog brain. Listen to us next week. Join us next week. We're going to be live on Facebook with Pete and Kristen from Detroit. We're going to talk about the business model of franchising and why they were crazy enough to buy a Hounds Town franchise.
Yeah.
Listen in, folks. It was nice joining you. Good Labor Day. Stay safe down in Florida, especially Joan Sullivan. The rest of you can never mind.
No.
Goodbye.